Hello, and welcome to Depth Perception. We discuss movies and dive into how films direct the way we experience them. We create a perception of sound, a perception of sight, with a dimension of mind. We move into a land of both shadow and substance, of themes and ideas. This episode is brought to you by the 2017 Darren Aronofsky movie, Mother, which follows a young woman whose tranquil life with her husband at their country home is disrupted by the arrival of a mysterious couple, ... So, Mother, tell your children not to walk my way.
Yes, little dancing.
Mother.
So, I wanted to comment because in the early episodes, I was having to edit out some choice language, and you guys have been behaving yourselves almost too much.
We'll fix that.
It's a farce.
Probably a good episode that'll be fixed.
Well, in the pre-production.
It's going to go downhill.
In our religion, our faith episode.
Yeah, we kept it clean.
Three defenders of the faith sat down around a table and swore like sailors. Sorry, Mom.
Well, how's it go? Tell your children not to hear my words.
Mm-hmm. What they mean, what they say.
All right. So, I think most of the time we do this, but first impressions. I will start off with the Tin Man.
Oh, okay.
First impressions. I know you said you've gone through this movie a few times, but
okay,
try to remember your first.
So, we didn't have it on DVD. There wasn't any. I ended up watching it on Pluto TV. So it was free, just a ton of ads.
Shout out Pluto.
Shout out to Pluto TV.
And all those digital platform video games.
I actually went through a few of the movies in the future that we're going to look at, and they had them all.
Oh, nice.
So Night of the Hunter, spoiler alert.
Hey.
And there was another one we were looking at. I was like, oh, hey, Pluto had it.
Debbie does. Oh, no.
The Adventures of...
Backdoor. No.
Shout out to Jimmy Bissell.
I'm just surprised the cassette tape wasn't red.
Oh, it was worn. Though it was worn.
All right. So, Mother.
Yes.
First impression.
Mm-hmm.
So, I had a little hint about the allegory behind it, and I tried my best to ignore it. Mm-hmm. Just watch the movie, take it as it is. Don't look too deep. Just watch it at face value through the lens of first-time viewer. And frustrating would be my word to describe it. It's a horror movie that becomes it's a peaceful home between these two couple, and a house guest arrives. More house guests arrive. It becomes like a home invasion. Nothing that she wants, that she's caring for and taking care of, is being respected or honored by the husband, by the guests. Nobody's listening to her. The scenes jump quickly to the next spot. The guy, like the husband, will leave for a minute saying he's doing something. She takes 2 steps in one direction. He's not there doing the thing he said. He's somewhere else now. It's quick. The scenes kind of move fast. Kind of remind me of like Scott Pilgrim, where one scene happens, he makes a mention of something, they're in the next spot. Something happens, they're in the next spot. So it moves a little bit quick at times. The choices she makes, the love that she has for her husband, I'm like, why are you still agreeing with him at all? It becomes frustrating, but at the end of the day, it's like a home invasion horror movie where it becomes scary They're overwhelming. They're terrorizing. The guests break stuff and damage everything. And I want to say in one of the interviews, she actually tore her diaphragm screaming and reacting to the scenes in this movie. It became harder to ignore some of the allegories when the child arrives and is killed and is eaten by the guests in this obscure cult-like religious group that kind of forms inside the home, and eventually to its destruction. I had written something for it too, but that's my on the face of this initial movie. It was an intense ride that you just pretty much endure. I would say I endured an intense ride, frustrating scenarios of a home invasion that it becomes chaotic
and to you.
Yes. The one thing I wrote was like, on the surface, it's a frustrating horror story about a woman enduring a string of intrusive and disrespectful house guests, perpetuated by a husband whose conceit and pride lead to irrational chaos, culminating in the death of their child and the subsequent destruction of their home.
Love it.
That's on my face value. That's what I wrote. So
Yeah. Cosign. Yeah, that's...
K-Max.
I guess initially what James said, what he said. Hey, what he said. But even to the point of like the song that kept going through my head, and you guys might be a little too young, but Soul Asylum. When he sings out Frustrated Incorporated. That was who I was working for while watching it. They were paying my check. They were my immediate supervisor. And I reported for duty and I clocked into Frustrated Incorporated. But I loved it. Anytime I'm asked to watch something and someone says anything about religion, and then when my spidey senses sense that there's a allusion to God or to Christ or anything like that, I immediately get very defensive. And instead of closing up, I said, listen, this is not, I'm certainly not mocking God. I'm certainly not opening up any gateways or portals to any kind of different ideology. I know what I believe. That said, there's a built-in defense mechanism that kicks in right away as soon as I see something like that. And it makes it real hard to watch a movie at face value because I find myself dodging and parrying and putting up the shield here and there. And because it is something precious to me. And so I'm like, well, I see. And then that's when, in the middle of my first viewing, I decided I'm going to watch this thrice.
Ooh.
So that I can watch it the first time to just kind of face value. All right, buddy, hit pause. Let's just start this over and just watch it to just be, to let a movie happen. Because that's generally what I do in the first place. So, okay, let me keep my simple glasses on and just watch this puppy. Then I'm going to watch it from like a defender of the faith type thing, you know, minus all the swears, I guess. So I'm going to watch it and just say, you know, does this do a pretty good job? Is this tearing it down? Is it building it up? What's happening here, you know?
Yeah.
And then the next one was just kind of like, I want to see if I can get what the filmmaker's trying to say. And all three of them had different effects on me. But the first glance right away was, I need to compartmentalize this if I'm going to be useful at all for this conversation. Because otherwise I'm going to get on here and just sit here, fold my arms and, you can't talk about. Yeah, exactly. Like, seriously. And the thing is, too, is I like that about me. That
I held that to my second viewing also.
Yeah. So that's it. That's my first impression.
I'm glad that you mentioned, you know, at the start you said, you know your faith and you can, you know, just go forward after that. So, you know, I meet a lot of people in my profession, a lot of people that don't share the same beliefs and faith than I do. And so it's just gotten a lot of practice of, okay, you know, I don't have to win every battle here.
Mm-hmm.
I can just lead by example.
Yep.
And I know where my faith is rooted in, and I don't have to, you know, get in any conflicts with just random people over this. And so my first impression, I went to the theater to watch this one. I believe it was just me and shout out to Tiffy. She might be on the pod someday, but I think it was just me and her. She's a big moviegoer.
She's awesome.
She makes it a point to go to the theater to watch her movies, which I love. Mm-hmm. So I believe it was just me and her went there, and there's a moment, and I'm going to ask you guys about this too, but for me it was kind of rooted in my first impression. There's the moment where Javier Bardem in the middle of the night is helping he's helping the first intruder puke into the toilet or whatever. And there's the wound, and I saw that, and I was like, pretty odd to not mention that.
Yeah. And he kind of covered it up too when she came in, right? He like kind of put his hand over
as soon as she walked in, he kind of covered it up and he was like, give us some space.
To kind of give, like, let your eyes know, oh, hey, look at this real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so my immediate thought was, oh, a rib injury, just like Adam had. And so, I thought for a second, I was like, well, here's a little string, I'll pull on it. And so if I pull on it, that tells me that Eve should show up pretty soon. And once you know, in a minute or two, in comes his wife.
How about Michelle Pfeiffer? I mean...
Still bringing it.
Oh, wow. I think I just swallowed my microphone. Oh, wow. I'm so sorry, everybody. But seriously.
So it was at that point, I was like, oh, we might be onto something. And I get excited for movies that aren't afraid to put you on that journey as well.
You picked it up that quick?
It wasn't like, oh, this is about the Bible.
Yeah.
It was kind of like you pull a string a little bit and it keeps coming.
Yeah.
And there's no end to it yet. So I guess I'll keep pulling it and then keep pulling. And that was my first impression, where it was excitement, because I was like, okay, gear in, because there's going to be clues everywhere that you have to look out for. So your eyes are watching, you're listening to things, you're listening to the dialogue, because there's not going to be any throwaway things when it's that filled with allegory. So you start picking up on pretty much everything that the director's throwing at you, because there's no other distractions. There's just a house in the middle of this field. Even beyond the meadow or whatever that the house is set in is like on fire or something. Mm-hmm. So it's just forget about anything around. This is your focus, this house and the people in it.
Right. There's no driveway. There's no cars. There's no garage. It's just the house and grass.
So that was my first impression, was just excitement, and to think, because you don't get a whole lot of biblical movies. So here was one that was not only starting to be biblical, but it was also like current, fresh, done by like a modern filmmaker. And so to pick out, to gear in for that, okay, here we go. Here's a ride.
Yeah.
That was my awesome. First.
Did you anticipate it being so allegory heavy? Or because I'm assuming Black Swan was the last movie you saw by him?
Before
that one?
I mean, 2017, it's 7 years ago. I don't remember his filmography well enough, because I think Black Swan was like 2010.
Yeah, something like that.
I think he's done more in between there. So like Noah, I think.
Noah's one. Requiem for a Dream's one.
That one's earlier.
That one's definitely earlier, yeah.
But seeing the trailers for the movie, they didn't really give you much.
No, they did not. Yeah, they just
horrible imagery. I remember that bloody light bulb being like a big part of the
where it blows up or whatever.
Yeah. I didn't know it would be that heavy with it, but it opened up with, the girl that wasn't Jennifer Lawrence, like bloody or whatever and burnt up, and then everything regenerating in the house. So it was like, well, it's not. I don't think it's going to be about a movie about magic. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was. I guess those were pretty big hints early on that was, okay, it's not going to be rooted in realism per se.
Right.
That kind of leads me into my next question for you guys is when did you, I know I probably mentioned it to you guys that this movie was a little bit more biblical, but upon viewing, when did you figure out that it was, okay, there's a lot of Bible references here, and like, when did you first pick it up?
Me? Yeah, okay, I'll go first. So when I first watched it, I kind of had gotten a hint that the Bible was used as a heavy allegory in it. So I tried my best to just ignore the idea. Mm-hmm. I did not pick up on Adam. I saw the wound. He's coughing. I thought, I don't know, maybe cancer. I don't know what the wound was. It wasn't in my ideas yet. Only after the sons came in and then fought each other and the one killed the other one, I'm like, oh, it's Cain and Abel. Mm-hmm. And then Cain had the mark on it, like he had a noticeable injury on his forehead that was like the mark that was, he was given by God. It was marked and then was banished. And at that point, I was like, oh, so that must be Adam and Eve. And then shortly after, they break the crystal and then they kind of get banned from the Garden of Eden, so to speak. So like only after the two sons, because they come in after, because Adam and Eve kind of had, or man and woman, I think they're even listed as man and woman in their credits.
If you call them Adam and Eve, I'm sure everyone will get it.
I did watch the movie once, watched a couple reviews, watched it a second time, watched a bunch more reviews, and then kind of picked and chose scenes I wanted to look for a third time I watched it, and then watched a bunch of Aronofsky's interviews himself. But only after did I see the wound, or like Cain kill Abel, was I like, oh, that's okay, then this must be Adam and Eve, and this must be like, okay. So that's where I started picking up on it.
I will ask for your, I kind of did this on purpose. I didn't watch any like interviews with Aronofsky or any other people's reviews or interpretations or anything. I just had my own for the purpose of this
purity
of this episode. So I will ask you for that information later on to see, if he was
does not
effective.
do a lot on Mother. He does like short ones, 4 or 5 minute ones here and there that I could find, and he did some long ones that were kind of somebody that appreciated the movies in their entirety and were giving him little questions and answers about each movie in order to find a little more specific ideas. So.
Yeah, when you said that, when the people first start to come in, so Adam and Eve, when they first come in, I thought it was interesting that Aronofsky kind of had it semi-rooted in realism, where he was like, oh, he's a doctor. And
he's an orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah,
that was like,
here comes his wife.
The first man. He's an orthopedic surgeon.
Where did he learn about it? But he also is like dying from cancer. And oh, they know that this guy's a famous writer. So there's like backstory given to the people early on. And I feel like it was just kind of a setup for people almost to, lull them to sleep a little bit. To be like, oh, here's mundane figures and they're coming home.
They don't give the audience like ample information right away. It slowly comes out that, oh, he's a poet. Oh, he wrote something extravagant that people love. Oh, and then only notice it when more and more guests start showing up. And hey, this guy's got a picture of you in his bag. Like, why are you going through his bag?
And then it's less and less background about the people, and it becomes about the masses.
Right.
And there's a quote, I can never remember the exact words of it, but it's from Men in Black, and he says a person can be smart, resourceful, and something, but people are dumb, ignorant, and whatever.
Yeah.
So I apply that to a lot of things, and I see that it fits this movie as well, because in the beginning you have two people, you can talk with them, they're a little bit annoying, but they have background and they interact and they listen. But once it starts to get to the masses, then it's just waves of people, rooting or rioting and destroying things, and
some are randomly painting walls. We're helping.
Yeah.
So
using the bathroom, hey, wait in line, like just it's not even like it's just like subtly intrusive on everything, and to the point of complete destruction eventually. But
K-Max, well, when did you first start to notice that it was more biblical than it
Yeah,
went
I
on?
think when some specific text, when the Adam and Eve characters kind of come in, Ed Harris and
Michelle, we're
Michelle
just going to call her
Pfeiffer.
by her first
Yeah,
name.
I couldn't take it. Michelle Pfeiffer come in.
Shelley. She's
Yeah. When Shelley comes in, and, when she resists throughout the thing. She resists. Like, what are we? And I was so frustrated at him just being like, "No, it's fine. We have to help. We have to." And then so I'm like, "Oh, he seems like he's bent toward good. Like he seems like he's bent like to a fault, bent toward that."
Right.
And then when they're talking about the house, and he says she's breathed life into every room. I'm like, wait a minute, this sounds deeper. This sounds heavier. This isn't just a common folk thing. And then she says, I want to make it paradise. And then he says, then Michelle Pfeiffer's character says, why don't you just build new and start fresh? She gets so defensive and says, this is his house.
Yeah.
This is his house. Like, there's no other. This is his creation. Right. I know that. I am the creation. And this is his house. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely, it's going to be an interesting play on biblical stories,
Okay.
And that, when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, all right. That's when I thought, she was so defensive, like, and it certainly wasn't music because there was none of that. Right. It certainly wasn't score. It was definitely like they used organic sounds to frame everything and build the tension. But organic except for like the house, the heartbeat,
creaking,
in the house and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was
but
like every movement was a creak or there was
and the glass breaking and high pitched like. But it was kind of genius. But that's when I felt it was when she said, "This is his house," and he kept. Again, I got defensive looking from the religious skeptic of them painting God to be this glory hound. Right? Mm-hmm. But, biblically, there's actually alignment that God seeks our praise and adoration. But he doesn't seek it for the meanings that the movie seemed to be kind of tending toward.
Right.
But, like, I remember, like, throughout the whole thing, early on, that's when I'm thinking, it makes sense that God is worthy of praise and that he almost like reluctantly accepts it, but he can't turn them down. He's like, they don't have anywhere to stay. Yeah. They have to stay here. And then he's a fan. When they went in the woods, he goes, he admitted something to me that he's dying.
Yeah.
And he's a fan. And so, of course, I'm going to let him stay, So, and he just keeps justifying why he keeps extending grace, to these people over and over again that don't deserve it. And I'm thinking in that way, and I'm probably going to another question, in that way, I was 2 thumbs up saying,
right,
go.
Yeah, like my contention was like, oh, they want to make Mother Nature equivalent or an equal to God, who's clearly created by him. Mm-hmm. But that's where the tension comes in, where she's wanting equality with him, time and care from her husband, and he's not really like he's put her to the back. They're more important, and she doesn't see why. Yeah. And so as the passive viewer, you're like, why is this husband being so dismissive? I had taken a screenshot of one of the reviews I was watching, and somebody had commented on it, and I was like, that fits perfect to why it kind of feels that way. And what they said was, I was married to a narcissistic sociopath for 17 years. This movie's exactly what it's like being married to him. It was an absolute nightmare, and I still have PTSD from it. That's somebody's comment on the movie.
I felt
based
that
on
vibe throughout it. If I looked at it just from face value,
right.
I was going mad that he would say, "Yeah, I'm doing it, honey. Listen, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." And he's telling her all the things. He's acknowledging. Yeah, I get you're scared.
He's saying he's giving lip service only, and not following up with.
And all she wants is like them to go away, and for his attention. Mm-hmm. And he finds a way to justify him denying that.
Right.
Like, in his head, this is the right way to do it. You know, this is what I have to do. They're sick, they're tired. Where else are they supposed to go? Even like when they're throwing them out of the Garden of Eden illustration, when he says, kicking them out of the garden, and he goes, and where will they go?
Right.
You know, it's like, there's nowhere else for them to go.
Yeah.
So I got to keep him out of the specific spot.
Wherever he got his orthopedic surgeon degree and go there.
Anyway,
So-
every answer I give is going to be all over the place, by the way, because I came in here
No,
tonight and I
that's
told
how
you guys.
it was, though. That's how it was watching it.
I said, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm high, I'm low, I'm fat, I'm skinny. More fat than anything.
So this early on in our discussion, how would you guys interpret the theme of the movie before we dive into everything deeper?
I don't know if I could put a label on it to say a theme, but it just was okay. Damn
I
it,
got
Corey.
one.
You're like, damn it, Corey. Okay, you go first then.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Damn it, Voss.
Here it is. I definitely have one that says, of course, God has to get in the way of what creation, of course, the idea of God has to get in the way of how creation was intended to be in the natural world. Of course, man and creation have it all figured out. And then this megalomaniac image of God has to come in and be controlling, has to be worshipped, has to be praised, can't get enough of it, and has to get in the way of the rational, peaceful, and beautiful Jennifer Lawrence as Mother Nature. The theme was almost like if I had to pick a theme, what I thought maybe the filmmaker, and this was watching the third time, is like trying to see what the filmmaker is saying is, God interferes in the business of man and creation. Maybe not even God, but like the people who hide behind God too. Interferes with honoring earth and being good stewards of the resources and things. I felt like I saw that as kind of a theme, is like trying to make the point that Mother Earth is crying out just to be left alone in some ways. And, this God character is saying, this is all yours. Be fruitful and multiply. Eat, take whatever, this is all yours. Whatever I've provided for you is yours. And you see them invading, and taking more and more and more.
Right.
Mother Earth is saying, too much. And he's saying, I know. And there's not going to be any more. And she's like, just make them go away. And he's kind of like, I can't.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
He even said that. He goes, I create. This is
what I do.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
And so like a theme would be like, sympathy for the earth and critical of God, I guess, or an idea of God.
Mm-hmm.
But, and in some way, and sometimes I clearly found myself saying, this is actually, I'm on board with this, because this is critiquing some of the things I hate about organized religion, with like the fanaticism and the zealot and the publicist even saying, here's what we're doing, we're going to get the word out there, but for what purpose? And then the guy selling off pieces and artifacts in the house, like a preacher of the old time gospel over asking for an old woman's last dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, there's some really cool little lessons in there too. Gosh, I guess the answer is I don't know. It's hard to pin down for me. I sound like one of my kids writing an essay. I'm shooting a shotgun where you're asking for a sniper shot. I hit with salt load or buckshot, and it just sprayed over the wall, and hopefully the answer is somewhere in there.
Tin Man,
do
you have a...
I have I don't know if I'd call it a theme, but I have a brief personal synopsis. I don't know if I...
A synopsis?
Yeah, once again.
Here's what the movie's about.
But I can't make it more. That's it. Whatever he said is pretty much what I'm feeling, but I don't know how to make it. Yeah.
Okay.
We're hurting Mother Nature and God's... That's what makes it great, is they have a relationship prior to us in this story. So prior to humans' interaction, they have a relationship that felt more pure if she could have exactly what she wanted in the story.
Okay. So what I have for a theme is the destructive relationship between God and man and its effect on the natural world.
Oh,
that's perfect.
That. Yeah,
That
that's a
sounds
lot
good.
better. What he said.
There's the sniper shot we're looking for.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Because to me, it was more about. We'll dive more into this, but to me, it was more about the low lighting of, so not highlighting, but low lighting God and man, and them kind of feeding off of each other, rather than Mother Nature's relationship with God and her lack of relationship with man. Because even from the beginning, and we'll touch on this later, but you guys have mentioned it already. God is playing host to these people, and all that Jennifer Lawrence's character is focused on is keeping the house tidy and trying to paint everything and fix everything and just keep a cleanly house.
And the sink. Don't sit there. It hasn't been reinforced yet. That's,
Right.
that sink.
So, I mean, we'll dive deeper into that in a bit. But so, like I said, it was she didn't really have any. It seemed like no higher aspirations other than to just get this house in better shape. And then you compare that to God, Javier Bardem's character, I'll say, just trying to keep elevating himself and keep elevating people and keep trying to reach a higher plane, a higher relationship. That's why I think it was more about their relationship and its effect on Mother Nature.
I really, really like that because it really makes it more clear, all the emotions I was having. It helps me sort, it literally therapeutically helps me sort them a little bit better, having heard that. And what makes sense to me, even like scripturally, is the fact that there's verses in the Bible, like for instance, like angels long to look into these things. And you think angels are part of creation. People think angels are eternal, whatever, they were created also. They're not man. They're not mankind. And it says they long to look into these things. And the things that are in reference are in context are how God loves mankind so much and how he'd be willing to give everything for him sacrificially. They don't understand it. They don't get it.
Right.
They can't perceive it.
Put a pin in that, because
All right.
I definitely have that for a later topic. That
Sounds
the
good.
idea of misunderstanding and wrongly interpreting God's grace and his giving of himself. But I think it'd be fun for right now to dive into all the biblical references we can remember from the movie. So we had Adam and Eve with the rib, and we had Cain and Abel. We already said. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we mentioned the flood when they break the sink and the water. Like everyone leaves because of the water. So in a sense, it's
like a purge.
cleansing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cleansing of the world there. Can you guys go on and pick out the other references in there?
Let me try to think.
Did it have that bee or whatever bug that was flying that died? I don't know if that had.
Well, there was flies and there was frog. There's a frog, so it's like pestilence of some sort. And then I just kept thinking of all the different characters that kept coming in.
They all had weird names too. They all like under their credits.
Really?
Yeah.
Like I know they're
Loiterer, lingerer, defiler, zealot, adulterer, whisperer, idler, wanderer, fool, philanderer, bumbler.
that's it.
Those are all the characters'
the
names.
Whoremonger was one, right?
Whoremongers
was one.
in there, yep.
Like they were like you could see different elements of sin and corruption starting to add up. And,
Fornicator, whoremonger, executioner.
played by James Bissell. I don't know who that is anyway.
Whoremonger, Tin Man.
Tin Man, that's what beep that out.
His real name is Genti Bijiko. So shout out to that guy.
Armand Asante. Yo! See if anyone gets that reference.
Colin, you win a prize if you get that one.
I think K-Max has it. But...
Oh, gosh. And you know what I think to myself? I'm trying to think. It became after... Okay, so they had the kind of like the memorial for Abel, you know,
Right,
for the son. And then there were some quotes that took place there that were said when the zealot said them in honor of the slain baby. Said the same things, like, that's the voice of love, or that's the, you know.
Right.
And she's like, you killed my baby. He was just ticked. So then, you know, it felt like everything from like a betrayal, and then like a, to me, it felt like the publicists and others they looked like they were going to come and help clear things up a little bit. Like they were getting Javier Bardem's character a little bit more on track in organizing everything, you know? And I thought, okay, she's got a plan, but she just made it worse, faster. She threw lightning, gasoline on fire.
Yeah.
And it seemed like when her character entered,
Was that
Kristen
Wiig?
Wiig,
Yeah.
the publicist, it just spread like wildfire. But then it also brought so much into the house. And there was like almost like a...
Was she the one shooting the people? There was...
Yes.
She was like, just like, oh,
Yes.
yeah, these aren't listening. Just like
That's
shooting
right.
people in the head. Like,
And then she actually gave the order
man.
to finish off Mother Earth. She like, didn't he say that?
Yeah.
She goes, finish her off type of thing. And I stopped making associations because I couldn't follow it fast enough.
Right.
Everything was happening so fast, which is pretty genius filmmaking, by the way.
Well, I thought... So he makes his like magnum opus or whatever, and it's very vague as to what it is, but to me, you know, it's got to be the Bible.
Yeah.
The New Testament. or whatever.
Yeah.
So all these people start following it, and when you look at history, it's kind of like, you know, Bible written, and then history just floods in. So you have, when you watch the movie, things just start happening at a rapid pace. Like, oh, now there's war, and now there's this, and now there's this, and it's just going through human history, like almost like a little history lesson, you know, after the Bible is written.
Like a montage, yeah.
But of course, you know, you mentioned the baby being born, so very obvious Christ figure.
Right.
And then even after that,
So which is weird to me because I'm like, is she Mother Nature or now she's Mother Mary? Because now this is their child together.
And
So now she holds a mother character
so
twice.
I think it's more a reference to a perfect person in the image of God, much like Jesus.
Okay.
So it wasn't like, okay, the mom is Mary, so Mary, you know, she's Mother Earth and Mary. I think it was more, because it kind of skips a couple topics here, but to me, the most pure human that they could make would be between Mother Earth and God, right? So it's more about the purity of that child rather than who the parents were. So, you know,
even
like,
when they made, like, at the moment of crescendo, they had the bright lights, bright lights, which, you know, that's how
That's how
that's how stuff be. Like JB Smoove, because that brings the heat. You remember what he's telling Larry David on Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Oh, I've seen the clip. Yeah.
He's like, I cause a ruckus. I cause a ruckus, Larry. Larry, you don't know. I cause a ruckus. I brings it. So when I saw, you know, when they decide that they're going to, you know, give it a try or whatever, and then there's this blinding bright light, I just thought, that brings a ruckus.
but how about the end? Both the beginning and the end of the movie, about the idea. Well, you had the flood kind of purge the earth, and you know, but then it said that fire would be next. Mm-hmm. And the end of the movie, that's exactly what happens next, is that the house burns again and purges everything, including Mother Earth. And I thought it was interesting, too, that both things were caused by nature rather than God just doing it. You know, the flood is her realm, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, at the end, she tosses down the lighter and does it herself. So,
and he sees it. He sees it happening. He's like, don't, he was very like, don't do that. And then I thought something was willing when she had her love yet, and she nodded her head like, he said, there's one thing left that I can, she says, you've taken everything.
Pause that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So was that all the biblical references that we could come up with, though? I'm sure there's more. I'm sure there's tons more. But
they definitely did their homework, though. I'm not saying they weren't trying to make a timeline of biblical history. He's making a film and saying other things, but I think he masterfully incorporated some.
If I were to try to say something good or positive about the experience of watching it, was like he made a movie using so much allegory that on face value the story doesn't really stand on its own.
Yeah.
But it still holds up once you put the key in place, which is a really, I don't want to call it brilliant, but I'm like, it's a really, it's high level.
Heaven forbid you give him a compliment.
Yeah. Especially this one.
I said heaven forbid.
Yeah. Agreed. But it was done very masterfully. We could say that. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Because it's if you don't have the key to the understanding behind the allegory that the face story is based on, it almost doesn't make any sense.
No.
You need the key to unlock it to figure out what's going on, and you're like, oh, okay, this makes more sense now.
And that's where I got that feeling like Voz had, like at the theater, that feeling of like, oh, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea. When this guy over here to my left makes a recommendation, I'm like, I'm going to learn something. I'm going to learn something. I might be entertained, but I'm definitely going to learn something. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And it's like, okay, it was okay, good.
There was one other movie that we watched like that. I don't know if we're going to use that in further movies.
Was it Teeth?
It was not Teeth. No. No. No.
The challenge continues. K-Max.
Dr. Teeth.
What is Teeth in reference to?
All right. It's about... all right, so it's a little bit offbeat. Because I remember last time I got closer. I know, really, seriously.
You mentioned Zipper.
Yeah. So that was my last clue that got me warm. Clue. That got me warm. So I say this.
Got you warm.
And I said that on purpose because I think it has to do with some sort of vigilante.
Weird.
Yes.
Wait, he's okay. Let
vigilante who was maybe done wrong, literally done wrong, and has inserted, or maybe nature has created teeth in places to get vengeance on people who would try to do her wrong again.
That's. He had to have looked it up.
I did not. Is that close to true?
I mean,
if it is, first I'm going to throw up, and then I'm going to go home and sleep for a week.
If you're going to put a nice PG-13 synopsis on it, sure. Can you dirty it up for us a little bit?
What would happen in this movie? What awful thing do you think could happen in this movie?
Well, I mean, obviously, okay, so my thought would be teeth. And I would have never have gone this place until he said Zipper was close. So then when I hear Zipper's close and I hear teeth, I think, this is Voz we're talking about.
Yes, that's like your biggest clue. That's like your biggest clue.
Who loves horror and is a friend of the macabre. So knowing both
He's
those
an
things,
ally of the macabre.
I will say this, and I will apologize to my colleagues and to my mother.
I got the bleep button ready. Go for it.
Okay. So I think it's I'm still saying a vigilante. Maybe she was raped, and maybe, the good old nature equipped her with superpowers, and this superpower is teeth-like things in her woman parts that if she's ever attacked again, by golly, it's gonna bite him and rip it off.
Hey.
That's what I mean. That's
It literally falls out in a scene. You'd watch it.
So
Spits it out.
so that's what it
It
is.
happens. That's what.
There's no possible way.
Dude, you know what? Do we need to take a break? Show them a clip.
No.
And you have my word. Listen, I do some studying on these things. I do look at cliff notes and things like that. I promise you, I would not look. I did not check one bit anything on teeth.
Oh my
First of
gosh.
all, I don't need the government knowing that about me.
Siri, what are vagina dentata? I sure hope my phone didn't pick it up.
Hold on, I'm playing it.
Your TV, right next to "Show Me All the Dinosaurs," is that.
Show me all the dinosaurs, please.
Smack dab in the middle of our religious chapter.
Good gravy. The fact that I got, the clue was Vosley in the macabre.
Yes, that's going to put you in a certain direction.
Then the zipper. And then the way he said, "You're on the right path."
I told you, I said, don't think, feel. I love how you did think about this, though.
It just-
because this wasn't a planned thing. It was like, hey, teeth, what do you got?
This is either the high water mark or the low water mark right now. We're experiencing
I
it
think
right
we've
now.
added a movie to our
Oh my god.
October.
God help me.
I don't know. We'll see.
I really hope not. It'll be like watching Hostel or one of those that just feels sick to my stomach.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
it's exactly
probably you're watching the full movie. You have to watch the first half, and that's it. Well, Tin Man.
Okay.
You say we watched some allegorical movie. Enemy? Is that what you were talking about?
That's what I was thinking of, yeah. Yeah, to put us back on track. That's what I was hinting at. I was not hinting at teeth.
My only hope is that the last 5 minutes are just totally deleted out.
Start swearing, so we got to bleep it all out.
It'll be the only 5 minutes that makes it on the podcast.
I know, right?
All right.
3 men were arrested on Swan Road.
All right, back to Mother. I want to hear your perception of how Aronofsky portrayed God.
Poorly? I don't know.
As a poor character? I know you guys kind of talked about it already, but I want to focus it in a little bit more.
Okay. Like, everything in his world needs to revolve somewhat around Jennifer Lawrence's character, yet he does almost nothing to bolster the relationship. Everything that she asks for, he either trivializes it or gives her an affirmation with words but never physically backs it up. She tries to maintain a relationship with him that it seems like they had an equality relationship where he kind of is at least trying to saying the things she wants to hear. So like he kind of knows what to say, but never actually upholds that relationship. What he does with men grants them every opportunity to grace, I guess, is what he gives to men constantly. Even when he kicks him out of, when he breaks the one thing that seems to be the precious thing that they have, that she's told them multiple times, don't touch, don't touch, don't touch. He's even like, that's the only time he even gets stern with them, is just like, get out. Like, not even look at them and like angrily just like, get out.
He gets more mad at Mother
Yeah,
than
gets
them.
more mad at mother than them breaking the one thing that seemed to be so important and just boards it up and then is back to being that's me. Back to being as gracious as possible, being a gracious host.
So you kind of perceive him more as a spouse figure than
I
a host
think so
figure.
because basing it around mother's, because she's in like every scene. She's like 99% of the scene. She's in the front of it, and my understanding of him is only based almost like through her eyes. So a spouse would be like the main role I would say seeing him play.
I'd say that's fair because one of the things I noticed was camera shots. It was always like right up on her, close up of her face, or kind of like over her shoulder.
Right.
But everything was making you see things through her perspective.
Right.
So I'd say that's fair to see him as a spouse figure. K-Max, what are your thoughts on the portrayal?
I thought that they did that the filmmaker wanted you to see God as someone who was madly in love with mankind, more so than Mother Nature. Certainly wanted to show you a picture of grace, which was neat to see in film, like secular film, was they kept hammering home this. If someone who didn't, let's say someone doesn't roll Bible, that's not their thing, right? They could watch this and see this guy, this God is never giving up on them, never. And he just gives them time and time again in grace. And the whole movie shows the people representing mankind is doing progressively worse things. And his grace gets bigger and bigger, and his sacrifice gets bigger and bigger and bigger, till ultimately it's his only son. And I thought to myself, well, thank you very much, Javier Bardem and company, for painting this picture. But then I look at the other side, how he's presented. And it's almost like brings me to Zeus in making them more mortal, bringing Almighty God to the mortal realm. It's what people do. This is what people do in general at all right now. They make God into a form of us, and give Almighty God our characteristics. They limit him to our science. They limit him to our world and our physical world. And
even our emotions too.
Oh gosh, yes, our pettiness. Like they and then the filmmaker gave him some of those qualities that I didn't appreciate, but I saw it, and I see why the filmmaker to tell his story. I think I see why he gave those characteristics to him. But I guess I can only say I resented it a little bit because I'm always defensive about those portrayals. But he did a good job of it, because I thought, if I'm looking at him as a husband, he's this narcissistic, self-absorbed. They're here for me.
Yeah.
They're here for me. And yeah, you're my muse. Here she is, my muse, even his publicist. Here's my muse.
Yeah.
And yet, all she's asking for is, can you tell them to go away, please? I'm having our baby here, And he's just so self-absorbed, he disappears into the crowd again. And that scene, I was terrified as she's falling asleep with the baby. She's like, no.
Yeah,
and he goes,
had mentioned
I'm the
that
father. And help me with this now. I might be getting ahead. I might be another pause. But when she says, I'm the mother, and with the exclamation mark, that's where I see the title of the movie right there. Like, this is who you are. I get it. But I have a role here. I have something to say here. And I'm shouting it, and you're not listening. And then he's closer as she's dozing off.
Yeah, and he just kind of just waits it out.
The fear, like there's scary movies out there, but that fear, that feeling, because there's no malice in his intent. It's just, I can wait, and just stares at her,
sits it out,
and every time she opens her eyes, he's like,
he's
6 inches closer, and like I said, there's no, I'm gonna get you. It's just, I'm just gonna hold my baby.
Yeah,
just waiting my turn. And
she knew exactly what was going to happen. She knew. Like, as soon as he's seen him with his attitude, he loved the baby. You could see him loving the baby, but he's taking it to the people. And his reaction was odd, though, when he looked troubled when he lost the baby. Like, he looked at her like, oh no, they just took him. You know what I mean?
Like, that's not my fault, but something bad's happening right now.
Yes.
It's kind of, you recognize that look that he gives her as a parent. Like,
Yeah.
Help?
Yeah. Oh, very seriously. Like, I was, there were some portrayals, like the picture of Grace. What do I always say about, like, what the Bible soapbox for just a second? I always say about ministry and grace and what I want for God and for it's just for people to see him for who he is and not what, like on my social media timeline, there's people I follow and they love taking shots at faith in Christ and God and the Bible. And so they take a little bit of truth out of context and they say, see, this is what and see this. And I think that's like incredibly dangerous as far as like faith goes, right? Because it lets the ignorant just run with something, just run with it, and then someone picks it up and says, "Yeah, just like in that movie." I'm like, "Yeah, but you hear what you're saying? Just like in that movie, or just like," and that's why I was able to look at a different lens, change lenses a little bit, and say, look at it to see what the filmmaker was saying, and I think having this conversation is it ultimately honors God too. I mean, certainly not my little commercials there, but certainly honors God to say, maybe it challenges people to look in and say, is this really in there? Is this really how this is? And if someone looks at it objectively and studying it and even prayerfully, you'll see that there is grace, the way that it's depicted. An undying grace. Grace that doesn't make any sense. It passes all human understanding.
So I'm going to piggyback on that and kind of go with how I see him portrayed as well. And his portrayal is utopic. If it kind of blends with, because I'm going to ask how you think man is portrayed after, but if man understood his grace, everything would be perfect in that house. House is giant. It can certainly hold that many people. And if people understood the kindness that he was showing and him being this host, I would think that none of the the crazy things that happen would continue. And he has these ideal concepts of, they not worship, but they love me and I love them, and we can have a great time together here. But it's the people that misunderstand that same grace. And so I would say in that sense, then God is portrayed as naive.
Yeah.
I love all the points that you made about him. That relationship with man is support and undying love. That's his focus is man, and I think that's why I tend to see that relationship between God and man as a more, I guess, supported during critiqued, I guess, but supported in terms of writing compared to his relationship with Mother Earth, because there's so much love there, and it's showing how man is not understanding him. And you could probably even extend that as to Mother also not understanding him either. But I'll wait until we talk about her as well. So I can see the narcissism. I can see like the attention seekingness, but there's like an artistic side to him as well, He's the poet, he's the writer. He's waiting for his next big inspiration, for his next big work. And it kind of gives like this sense to his character that he's always trying to improve, always trying to reach something, and that it's never complete. And I think that speaks to the cyclical nature of the story itself, where we start off with this version of Mother that we find out kind of going through the same thing, where she must have gone through all this trauma, burnt the house, repeat it with Jennifer Lawrence's version. She can't handle it, and she burns down the house, and he takes the crystal from her next, and that's going to become the crystal for the next mother that we see. So it's this like strive to create the perfect story, I guess, the perfect version of what his relationship with man and his relationship with Mother ought to be, I guess.
Well, if she's the one that keeps burning it down, maybe he should give some attention to her.
If he always survives it, though.
Well, if he survives it constantly, but he's like, don't, it happened again.
Again, why I think it's more about his relationship with man, because that's what he's focused on. And
right, like if the story was looking through his eyes, she would show up to like nag at him, and he'd passively tell her whatever, and then go back to doing his work. Like she would just show up to nag every 10 minutes she'd show up.
He's not a malevolent character, though.
Right.
That's not how he's portrayed.
Right.
It's always loving, and you can kind of see that he's expecting the same from his spouse. Like you said early on in the podcast, when like, oh, what are we going to do with it? Just have our guests leave? Where are they going to go? Like always inviting people into their home and kind of expecting her to be alongside him when he does it. But yeah, so how about our portrayal of man? What would you say, Tin Man? What would you think of man?
Portrayal of man? So the first man that shows up is Ed Harris. She asked him to stop smoking. Oh yeah, you said that. And will either light it up as soon as she's out of the other room, or she just kind of just flicks it out the door. She finds the lighter when he's not paying attention to it and just pushes it off the table. I thought those were odd, because there's two things that Adam and Eve both do. So Eve shows up and is wearing like sexy lingerie, and she sees her slutty panties and throws them over the washing machine so she can't. So like, oh, she don't need those. Throws them out of the way. But like the way the people treat him and the way the people treat her couldn't be more contrast. As soon as they get kicked out of the Garden of Eden, they're like having sex, like right on the other side of the wall. It's like, oh, okay, he's boarding up the wall and they're banging already. Okay, all right. But the way men seem to be portrayed is quick amounts of time. So it could have been like 100 years and the next thing happened. 100 years and the next thing happened. So it's always kind of annoyingly fast sometimes. Frustrating. I keep using the word frustrating. For anyone out there watching the movie, see if you guys agree. But and then when the more people show up, they're almost disrespectful and intrusive to everything that Mother's doing. They're always, oh, I'm using the bathroom now. Oh, I'm doing this. Like, oh, you're here? What are you doing here? And she's like, this is my house, and none of you guys were here when I built it. What do you mean? What do you mean? What am I doing here? And everyone kind of treats her like she's kind of in the way. Why is she here? And the few people I think that are like, trying to do good things for the earth in the real world are kind of portrayed as the people who are like painting the walls.
Yeah.
We're here helping.
Like saying, you've been so good to us. Why wouldn't we do this?
Right.
Those two of them, the two couples.
There's like two people painting.
She's like, okay. They put them down and they go back to her.
Those are the only people that are like kind of, all right. And then whoever they are, they're gone again. But mankind is, I don't know. That's the vibe and gist I get out of their characters, always being intrusive, in the way, dismissive, and kind of annoyed that Mother's even trying to do stuff.
Yeah.
They tell her to get off the sink. She tells him, get off the sink. It's not braced. Okay, they get on it again as soon as she leaves the room. It's not braced, they get off. And then the third time, they're like, there's nothing wrong, see? And then they hop up and down, and it breaks. And then they're like,
But it's almost like, right, that's the whole global warming stuff. Like, the Earth tells you, gives you clues that something's not right here. There's something out of balance.
and that was
and
in
we ignore it.
And that was in one of the interviews he had
Really?
mentioned.
And then we do it again, and then we ignore it again. Do it again, and we ignore it again. You know?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, all heck breaks loose. It's almost like, to me, mankind is portrayed, just little characters. They kind of come on almost like a stage play. Here comes this, just to introduce this, and they're wearing this shirt, and they're saying this.
Yep.
And then they exit stage right.
And
They've
it's almost
accomplished,
like written in big letters, here's so-and-so walking into the scene.
And it's accomplished this. I thought that they definitely move the action.
Mm-hmm.
Mankind moves the action in the movie. Like
It's almost like bullet points of time through history.
Yeah. And like what Vaz said earlier, I don't know if it was on the pod or not, maybe pre-show, about when I said it got frustrating as things started picking up and going faster.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much after the publicist, and then all of a sudden it was after what we think the illustration of, like, maybe when he writes his big manifesto, which we think would be like the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Then we see like a quick timeline of humanity, the AD,
Yep.
up, and that part was hard to watch because you see, almost, gosh, it was disturbing.
Yeah.
You know what I thought about is it the Event Horizon story you guys told me of?
I don't know.
I never
Maybe.
saw it though.
Oh, okay.
I never saw it.
That's one of my favorites.
But that scene brought me as close to feeling that sickness that I felt when you guys were just describing that scene.
Yeah.
That scene was
overwhelming.
almost gave me a panic attack
Yeah.
when I was watching it.
And in one of the interviews, he was like, "That's what we were hoping to achieve at that point.
No
What they
kidding.
wanted you guys to feel was that like suffocating panic. Like
mission
that's what they
accomplished.
wanted. Like you're barely above water and it's getting higher. Like,
it was horrifying. Everything from like the organized, and then they're in jail. It's almost like a purgatory type thing where they're all in that jail area. Just kind of like, and then they'll help us. He's telling him, "Let us up there. Take his hand. They're going to help us. They'll protect us." I couldn't really. It's so overwhelmed at that time. But I want to ask you guys, who did that represent? Like, they're going to help. He's reaching to these people. They're going to keep all the people away, and he says, "Trust them. Reach up there. They're going to help us. They're going to protect us." Javier Bardem's character says that to Mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so she reaches and they go up there, and the rest of them are pushing the rest of them down.
Yeah, is that when the SWAT team breaks in or something like that? There's like a SWAT team guy or more crowds.
It was just
because Javier Bardem kind of like sneaks through a crowd to
Yeah.
grab her and then help her and then disappears again and then
like a cavalcade of madness.
Yeah,
It was.
yeah.
Very
Very cacophony.
yeah, that's right. Seriously, like the people they do their purpose because they move the story, and they're just ugly. You see the ugliness of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah, and then I'm glad that the filmmaker put in those two characters painting the house. Because we do know people that do give a darn about environmental issues. Or even good stewardship. Whether they're, believers or not. They might be just people who think that we gotta take better care of the earth, the planet.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like. Well, you've given so much to us. Why wouldn't we do that? Stop. Okay. And then they just go do their thing. I thought to myself, this is either really, as I'm watching it and after I finish watching it, this is either really good or really bad. There's no in between for me.
Right.
And so when people ask me what I thought, it's like, yeah, great
That's
and awful.
Yeah.
Where I'm trying to unlock, though, is not a pet peeve, but it's just like when I hear people say, it's good or it's bad. It's like some movies aren't really meant to be good or bad. They're just meant to give you a message or meant to present something to you. So, I mean, depending on what your definition of good or bad is, if you're still talking about a movie, still thinking about it and its effects on you, or even that it had an effect at all, does that mean it's good? if you're still discussing it, or you're still feeling the effects, or if you're watching it and if it's making you feel how they want you to feel, does that mean they accomplished what they set out to do? And does that mean it's a good movie because of that? So that's why I don't like the idea of good versus bad. It's art. A lot of times it's just art that's expressing something. And you can choose to accept and look into it. It's like a regular gallery. You can stand there and look at the painting, or you could just keep walking till you find something that you like. But that painting, that piece of work, was made had intention, it had purpose. And so when it comes to movies, that's what I like to stand there for a couple minutes and see see what there is to see about this picture that not just one person, but hundreds of people worked on because they believed in that vision for that piece of work. And then you could choose to like it or dislike it, or you can choose to just see it for what it is and continue to move on. So I just want to add that in there.
No, that's good.
I agree with that.
I'm pretty much on board with both of you on portrayal of man. They're shown as reckless, borderline animals that don't know how to accept a gift, their misunderstanding of pretty much everything that Javier Bardem's character extends to them, as well as Mother Nature's, her own level of grace. And inconsiderate was one I put on there. Takers and not givers. There's one scene towards the whole chaos where the baby dies and people are just eating it.
Jeepers, yeah.
And
for those of you seeing this movie, that is a rough scene.
Like
A
I'm not
brand
lying,
new
that's verbatim.
baby
Yeah.
getting passed around through the crowd, whose neck you hear snap and torn apart when then people start eating pieces of it.
Yeah, so if you're using this movie to figure out if you should watch it or not,
Here's where you should decide.
Yeah.
But
But it's tastefully done.
where
I got the symbolism right away, so I didn't feel as like, oh, that's a real. Like I thought, I'm like, okay, this is a Christ depiction, and then a cannibalistic version of the Eucharist, I guess. But
well, that's where I highlighted the idea of misunderstanding. So mankind is just so misunderstanding of what is being given to them and shared with them that, you think of the idea of communion, the body of Christ, and they're just literally eating parts of the baby, and you think, well, that's not what I meant. That's,
Right.
So that was just like the prime example for me that just shows like just how misunderstanding the masses of people are about faith and religion and all of it.
But does that mean Aronofsky's misunderstanding it also?
We'll dive into if you know the bullet points I sent out the other day.
I'm just queuing for the future. Just queuing up.
So portrayal of Mother Nature then. We're kind of rounding it out here. Mm-hmm. So I'll go back the other way. I go to K-Max. What do you think about the portrayal of Mother Nature in here?
I thought, first of all, masterful job by Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's great. She's just really good at what she does. I watched, sorry.
No hard feelings?
No. It's just a tiny commercial for where she sells the mops.
Joy.
Joy.
Yeah, Joy.
I just thought to myself, and I don't give her just due, but man, I saw that movie. I'm like, she's really good. She's really good. Portrayal of Mother Earth, picked the perfect person for it. I heard that's one thing I heard about it. She wanted that role really bad.
Yeah.
And I see why. She did a great job. Looked like she got the crap beat out of her the whole movie.
Uh-huh.
She must. I mean, seriously.
She said it was the most stressful, hardest film she's ever made so far.
When they're beating her at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, they didn't beat her this close to her, but I just saw that and I'm like, she's getting thrown around pretty good.
How many scenes where she has to scream or be terrified
And
or be
thrown? She falls and gets
like,
thrown down in a lot of places.
How many scenes? How many takes did these scenes take where you have to emotionally,
Right.
Okay, your child is dying and being torn apart. Go.
Yeah.
How many scenes you have to film that does not take a toll on you.
Seriously, insane. Like, so the portrayal of Mother Earth by her, it's great. You feel for Mother Earth. You see Mother Earth as the, just kind of the victim, like the steady putting up with God and His love of people, and just wanting contention, wanting fellowship, fellowship with God, and
It's like everything that she wanted from him, he wanted from them.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it wasn't going in the right direction. Like everybody's wanting something that they're not getting.
Yeah, and as far as depiction of Mother Earth, though, the one part that I would criticize is, again, I always think, when something you believe something, you think you're right, obviously, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't believe it. It's like putting Mother Nature kind of like at an even, almost like an equal, was a hard pill to swallow. But does it really? I mean, he's the only one. I mean, he lives eternal as himself, as he is. He's the only one that does.
Right.
He comes back, another incantation, another try.
He's unscathed.
Yeah,
when
he keeps the love. He
she's
keeps the love there, and
Yep.
uses the love and moves on. I just thought, like, a nice, for this movie's purpose, a nice little foil for that character.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, right or wrong, portrayed fairly. I mean, we do take advantage. We are idiots to Earth. Those with faith and those with not faith.
Right.
Sometimes those with faith take more advantage of Earth and are worse stewards of it.
Yeah.
Because God gave us this. We have dominion. Yeah, what about being a good steward also?
Right.
I mean, it's all the idiots in there just taking advantage of her and being nasty. And she's giving every opportunity to be kind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't do that,
I just thought of this while you were kind of speaking your mind about her, and because you posed the question of, and I remember what you're talking about now. It's almost like he's on a podium. There's like a sea of people, and when he says, they'll help us, and she's brought up, I feel like everything has escalated to the point where there's believers, there's non-believers just mixed in. And so when he said these people will help, it was kind of distinguishing, there's still people that support me and love me. There's other people here that are just here for the party.
Yeah.
And so I think that might have been where that
makes sense.
Could be, but
Yeah.
I mean, the way that you're speaking was like, okay, things evolve and got bigger and out of hand.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to watch it again. That's kind of cool, right? That's got to bode well for the movie.
I'm willing to watch it again. I absolutely am. Like, I have no problem listening to everybody, having my views, and then trying to be willing to poke holes in my own views, just to see what else I can get from
I think
it.
that's what makes a good conversation about almost any topic, is being willing to hear someone criticize what you have to say and sit through it and smile and have coffee. Man. Hey, as we're doing this, the presidential debate's happening right now, and I can't help but think to myself, sit down and have a podcast. Be nice to each other. Poke holes at each other. Be honest. Throw some harsh truths out there. Talk about some heavy topics.
Yeah.
And at the end, have a cup of coffee and bust balls a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
And I mean, you just respect everyone's opinion and you share your own.
That's it.
What do you? But Tin Man, what were your thoughts on how
Mother Earth, or
Yeah.
Mother Nature. Okay, so how Mother's portrayed. She's portrayed as Very well. Like she's very well acted. If Jennifer Lawrence, for watching like little clips of her outside of movies and roles where she's like joking and goofing off, like you'd think someone so lighthearted, fun, and silly could play such a heavy, serious character. And she herself had said in one of the interviews, she goes, I kind of think it's a sin to not understand the movie a little bit, the themes behind it, when you first go to see it. Aronofsky was sitting next to her and was like, I think you should see it without knowing. She was like, I think everyone should see it with knowing a little bit about what's going on in order to see it. So she's also, she's the talent, but that was her point of view. Mm-hmm. She's portrayed as a victim, as a wife who's the least important person in a house that should be hers.
Yeah.
Who should be held in very high regard is held in the least.
Yeah, I do feel a lot of sympathy with the whole movie. Like awful. Just awful.
And only because of her, I feel so frustrated. Because you follow her the whole time. The whole time you're like, why is no one listening? Why is she putting up with this? Why is this? And it was just odd because I'm trying to pick apart the things like Eve was saying to her.
Yeah.
Oh, you do want your own children.
Right.
Stuff. There's little things in there, little clues, hints.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why does she feel the need to hold like yeah, I'm going to make lemonade. It is very strong. Mm-hmm. And kind of like, I don't know. I kind of look down on her.
Yeah.
The house guest to the homemaker. I'm going to look down on you. Like, I don't know.
And I think even the idea, like her lemonade was spiked. It was like, I'm going to take this natural drink that could just be completely natural, lemon and water and sugar, but I'm going to add poison to it.
Yeah. It's very strong.
Yeah. Everyone was talking about going and freshening up her, going to make it even more.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it was good. I mean, really good cast. Holy smokes.
Right.
My thoughts on her portrayal, I think it was a very complex character, not just because we talk a lot about her just giving and being taken from and constantly abused during the entire movie. I think there's layers to this, though. Her whole purpose is to serve God. So she was never going to have a higher purpose other than to just be taken from and just to provide for his will. And you could say,
if you ever seen Rick and Morty, he creates this little butter dish that's on like wheels and wheels around and goes and delivers butter, and he goes, Master, what is my purpose? It's like, you deliver butter. And he's like, oh. And like it feels like that's her spot. Like, what's your purpose? Yeah, it's just this little butter dish with like wheels that comes around and cuts the butter off of it, and he's like, Master, what is my purpose?
Just crestfallen.
You bring me butter. Like, that's it. And he's like, oh. Like, he just like,
oh. That makes sense, though. Like, we have sympathy for her or whatever, but
like, that's what she's there for. Is she's got feelings and everything, but her purpose in this relationship is just to be taken from.
To prepare for the apocalypse. There's a line in the movie she says.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she goes, oh, well, I'll do this. Like, all right, well, I guess I'll go prepare for the apocalypse. She says it like passively says it. Like,
and it's kind of bleeds into my next topic about who the movie is most critical of. But to me, her character, right from the start, God is entertaining these guests. And if you relate that to any of us and a guest comes over, you might do the same. Okay, here, you need something to drink or whatever. Oh, you heard about what I do. Okay, you discuss it with them. She seems to never really be on board with any of the hosting. She starts to cook a little bit of breakfast in the morning, but there was no, let me get you our spare room ready. Let me do this. Let me do that. And it was only, they would ask of her and she would help at that point. But there's no, let me support my husband and we'll both sit on the couch and discuss, why they came here. She's just kind of goes and does her own thing. and isn't really participating in the active hosting of these guests. And instead, I think in the morning that they stayed over, she just starts painting and, is doing housework rather than not. It doesn't even have to be entertaining the guests, but hey, are they still here? What are they doing? What do they need? What do they need in order to leave? I'm just going to be painting the house instead.
Yeah, that's his thing. I'm going to go over here.
So, so it was kind of for me, it's a little bit odd to see. I'm going to actively disassociate with him and then kind of get mad at him for doing his own thing, whereas she could have been active with him and say, okay, you guys, do you need a ride home? Do you need this? It was just, he'll take care of it, I hope, and kind of do her own thing. So I thought that was pretty interesting because
any of us who have wives, if they didn't want to be involved, they're not going to get involved.
it's true.
I can't see me bringing over hey, it's a buddy of mine. Okay. I didn't say it was okay, but if you're going to bring him here, I'm going to be over here. Yeah.
You'd at least want to.
You'd want it.
Talk to. I mean, like, who is this person? Like, how do you know my husband? Something like that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty interesting that even from the start, they were kind of doing their own thing anyway.
And also, if they're the only people around at all, oh my God, there's another person.
Like, so, what but are you it doing doesn't out here?
Yeah, yeah. How'd you get here? This place doesn't exist anywhere else. But I also can't completely rely on the allegory to exist. It's got to kind of rely on both worlds in order for an orthopedic surgeon, to exist. Kind of have to suspend a little bit of the themes. Got to bleed into the world a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I think that's right.
And I thought it was interesting too. You brought up, she hid the lighter and she threw away the underwear, and it was kind of like between the two characters, between God and Mother. I feel like that was the only pettiness that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
Like with God, it was just, well, people are coming. I can handle it. Here they're all for me.
Yeah, petty would not be a word I would describe him with.
But
naive and what's it called?
Yeah.
Yes, but not her.
Yes. He always had this grandeur, outlook on things. But that was the moment of pettiness where she's actively doing something out of spite for mankind, even right from the start. And yes, she kind of gives people, don't sit on that. I didn't do the thing yet.
Yeah.
The bracket's not on or whatever. And it's not that's not a negative thing, but it's still it's the only.
She's immediately annoyed of their existence.
Right.
There's little things that it comes out.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's where I kind of get I kept that in the back of my mind watching it, because it was obviously she's just getting battered and taken advantage of the whole movie. But there was that part of it though in the beginning where she just didn't really agree with
mankind
people
might
to begin
be
with.
A little parasitic in the world. Their existence is a little bit of a parasite to what Mother Earth is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Or her understanding of what is paradise.
And then there's the idea that she's fixing up this house. And, I mean, to me, the idea of a home and a house is to have people in it and to grow a family, to have guests over and family visiting and everything. And she was against that idea other than just having a child with her husband. So it was kind of, that thought stuck with me too. Is well, what's the use in having this giant house?
Yeah, it's a huge house.
If you're not going to have anyone else in it. It's just going to be you two and this unborn child that for most of the movie it wasn't even mentioned. It was just kind of oh yeah, it's just me and him right now.
Yeah.
Maybe down the road, but right now it's just us. So it's you got this 6,000 square foot house and just you two, and you're just going to keep working on it? It's why are you working on this house if not to have people in it?
Right.
So like all that kind of stuck with me. So like that's why I said there's layers to her character where, yes, we're very sympathetic towards her, but she's also had the only moments of pettiness between her and the God figure. And then she's also kind of been against mankind right from the start. And she's kind of had her own... When you compare the two, I don't want to say selfish, but like her main goal is the house, and God's main goal is hosting everybody.
Yeah.
And so between the two of those, one is more self-focused than the other, we'll say. And so it's a very layered when you compare the two characters, because obviously our filmmaker is saying, look how bad we're treating Mother. But at the same time, she doesn't exist without God. Mm-hmm. And she's taking care of this place that's meant for people. So it's a very, you know, you could go back. Well, I could go back and forth.
It's not a love triangle; it's like a hate triangle.
Yeah,
or a
like,
need triangle.
I go back and forth about, you know, is she there for people? Is she there? I guess this is when it leads into my next question: is who is this movie most critical of? So I'll pause my thoughts there.
Okay.
And I'll send the ball back to your court about who you think the movie is most critical of. And if any of you get a thought first, go for it.
I think it's most critical of God. Only because our view of God is so much higher than Zeus or whatever, you know, great person that, like a secular view of what God would be. And then to describe him with very human qualities, very human interests, very poor relationship skills, I guess, to have a God that we view so high and then to bring him here, I feel like that's the most critical. Even though he might see him, Aronofsky might not see him as being as critical of God, maybe a little critical. I think how we view God is different than his, so it's way criticaler. It's getting late. We do film this late at night, guys. So cut us some slack. Chris's eyes are only opening 80% right now.
Garfield.
He's
Garfield.
You've
seen Braille.
He's got Monday Garfield eyes.
All the battery's going towards his ears, so it's shutting off at the eyes.
He's got Monday eyes.
Hey, these are supposed to be sexy eyes right now. This is my Barry White face. And not the one I used to work at UB. Anyway.
Shout out to Barry White out there.
Not that one.
Not that one. Not that one.
I would say God, only based on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is critical of, but I'll leave it at that.
I really love that answer. I think that nails exactly how I feel about the film being critical of God. That my hyper defensiveness, that encapsulates it perfect. It's not that I'm taking it out and I think it's poorly done. It's not that I find anything offensive really about the movie. I just think that my view of God is so much higher that when anybody assigns, for art purposes or for any other purpose, mockingly, critically, to deny, to justify, however they frame him, if it's not who he says he is himself and who he's demonstrated who he is himself for centuries, then I feel like, it's real critical because it's a real knock on who he really is. But I also think that it's very critical of man. Rightfully so, because we are a mess. The Enlightenment thinkers, old Thomas Hobbes had it right. They were, and that's the battle evermore, though, right? That's the big question: is man born good and corrupted by life and with the world, or is man born with a sinful nature, evil, and in need of a savior and redemption? And you know, this movie answers the question that we are in desperate need of God's grace. And I thought I was watching it. Now you got like pages of notes specifically talking about grace that I saw in the movie, like a picture of grace, a picture of grace, a picture of grace, and I just thought that's really, really cool. You know, and I would have never saw that if I didn't change my lenses a little bit, change my perception a little bit. Again, if Mom, you're listening, it's not that I'm changing and like, you know, changing my I want to be crystal clear. Like, oh, so he doesn't, did you hear Chris isn't a Christian anymore? You know, it's not even close. And, but like, you know, that when you view something from a different lens, though, it helps you to, you know, understand what the filmmaker's saying. And it also gives you a nice little check of, what do I believe? You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, examining your own salvation or your own belief system, taking a look at it once in a while and saying, shoot, is anything that I'm doing anything remotely aligning with this? And it's a really good question for reflection. And so this film, can I say that it helped me in my self-reflection to be better at what I claim to be? You know, yeah, I think so. Let me just share this, if I could. It reminds me of how the world... Nope, I know this is coming up later because I read the notes, so okay. I'll catch this later.
So, I said that it was more critical of man than it was God. And I think I've kind of given hints to that during our discussion here, but they show God as naive, but his intentions are so utopic and so innocent, I guess, or, you know, it was just, hey, everyone, you know, come be a part of something special. You know, I love you, you love me. You know, let's just be together. And it's man that tarnishes that and can't understand what a good thing that is, and is there for their own selfish purposes. Even in the beginning with Adam, well, I call him Adam, but Ed Harris's character, he's only there because he's dying in much, you know, compared to people that are on their own deathbed and they're in search of something higher, you know, and in his case, he's dying of lung cancer, I think, from, I'm assuming, smoking.
Yeah, that's what that's, yeah.
But, so he's only there because he's dying and he wants to meet him. And very on the nose for, I feel, people today, where they're not religious until they're met with their own demise. Then it's all of a sudden, how can I keep going? Is there something that comes after this? What's next for me?
Quick commercial. Yes, please do that. Thief on the cross. Remember me. Just remember me when you come into your kingdom. And he goes, I'll see you. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Man.
Today, you'll be with me in paradise.
Goosebumps. Sorry, Vaz. Keep going.
But that's why everything that happens that is wrong, that makes you feel stressful, that makes you feel anxious and angry, is because the masses caused it in this movie. If there was no mass and it was just God and Mother, there'd be no conflict. You know, if the people weren't there to misinterpret their grace and them being hosts for these people, there'd be no movie. It would just be static, perfect conditions. And you kind of see, I feel like the idea of them having the baby together was kind of presenting, you know, this is the only way that they would have peace, is if they would have done this from the start rather than bring in people. So it's kind of saying, you know, well, if everyone was made in God's image, if everyone was Jesus, there'd be no problem. And obviously that can't be the case, but I feel like that's how critical it was. It was just, yeah, there is no perfect person except for if God were to create someone in his own image. And so if that's the case, then there's no hope for us as a mass of people. There's so much destruction and misunderstanding and evil and sinfulness that we just can't handle that amount of grace from God and Mother. So that's why I thought it was a little bit more critical of man, even though I can see Tin Man's thoughts where you're bringing God down so many levels. And you could also see that as, again, man's misunderstanding of God and saying, oh, well, he must feel this way. He must feel naive and blah, 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 attention seeking. And again, that's, fourth wall. That's people's misunderstanding of how God is, I guess. So,
I love those answers, both of you guys.
Good.
That's really good.
So this kind of flows into my next topic. Does this support or tear down faith slash religion? And I think you guys have kind of touched on it throughout our discussion. So this is a little bit, again, just kind of organizing thoughts.
I'd like to hear what James had written.
Would
that be a decent time for him? Because I think
yes,
where he was going with that, I'm interested in.
I'm trying to see if I pay. Okay,
It's
so
milk, eggs,
a little bit,
toilet paper.
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything. Hold on.
Wrong note.
So I feel that it paints religion now, not necessarily faith, but religion. It's idiotic and incendiary. God uses nature like an abusive spouse in the plot. This is just kind of masked it by intriguing elegance in theme and illusion. All to the point of ivory tower smugness and holier-than-thou rhetoric. Look at me as I wax eloquent about hot-button issues like climate change and the perverted church, while taking the safest possible position, wrapping it into a horror story that cannot stand on its own merits without the key themes being readily available. That's my harshest way of saying it, but listening to Aronofsky's beliefs himself in interviews that he said, he goes, I believe that the Bible is the greatest book ever written. That being said, he goes, I'm not interested in religion. I'm interested in the mythology. So there was, he had watched some people who watched the movie Noah that were Christians who seen the movie, and they were upset because there was evolution involved or introduced, and he was kind of like, haha, yes. So he has an understanding of what the kind of like the seriousness that the Bible holds for humanity, but not that he believes what it is, that it's actually what it is what it is. Sure. So at least that's my understanding. In the few interviews that I watched of his, he still believes that there's weight and seriousness, and this book he calls it mythology. So he believes that there's that the grounds of which, like, because he's American. He's an American writer, director. But like the grounds of which morality and where we are as a country or as a people kind of stand on the Bible as being where we get our, I don't say morality again, but to say that and then to say it's really serious. It's an important book, but we can't really take it completely literally. That's how I would understand his belief in it. So I would say it's critical of religion, but not necessarily of faith.
Yeah,
I think that's how I would say it.
Yeah, I would piggyback on his own thought of that. And I'll say this for Aronofsky, I got a lot of respect that he actually dug in a bit and is bold enough to say, yeah, it's important, and gave it the time that it. He spent some time in there, him to write this and direct this, and he spent some time in the Bible. And so many people that try to dabble Hollywood-wise, or even like story-wise, film-wise, even video game-wise in some ways, certainly social media post-wise, they spend no time.
Right. It's just outright
And
perverted
they'll take a shot. Listen, I got respect for someone who spends time in it, meditates in it, takes a look in it, and then takes shots. Because guess what? that's what keeps you sharp, I think. If you don't have to defend what you believe ever, you don't have any practice of, you don't have any reflection time to say, oh wait, is this just my parents' religion?
Right.
Is this
right.
just what was convenient for me? You know, then you can ask yourself the critical questions. Am I just believing this because this is what's happening in this part of the world?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I really, does it go farther? Does it permeate deeper than that? So I have a lot of respect for this guy because there's no way he can weave this tale without having a big understanding about grace, about the dynamic between God and his people.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And
it does seem like it's an outsider's, but he's looking hard.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to look, but he's not.
Well, he's doing ground zero reporting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And that's more than most do. So it reminds me of how the world views folks who have faith very often. Christians specifically. Now again, that's where I live. That's why I say Christians specifically. I'm going to take bits of truth and create an absurd vision or depiction of what they believe it means and connect dots that cater to my vision or belief system, right? But the thing is too is that's what they say about believers and people that are born again. They're like, you're connecting dots that aren't there. So I get their argument. I do. I just happen to be convinced.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of enemies, and I like a lot of people who don't share my belief system. Sometimes they're a lot more interesting and a lot more devout, if I'm being honest with you. A lot of admiration for them. That's the unique part of having a belief system that is exclusive, sadly. I will say that. That, when he says, I am the way, not a way,
Right.
I'm pretty sure he means it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always very careful with any conversation like this because I don't ever want to give off the vibe that I'm judging anybody ever. I don't do that. Or that I'm better than anybody or I have special knowledge. But I am convinced that when Christ says, I am the way, if there was another way to avoid crying tears of blood and begging for another way to his Father, I think there would have been another way. So that's pretty convincing. But then, a tendency for non-believers to take and quote bits of scripture out of context and discredit them or vilify God or truth. I gotta say this guy doesn't do as much of that as I anticipated. Because I'm like,
Or how I felt the first time watching it.
Yeah. After I watched it with the lens of even defending the faith type of a lens, made me feel more respect for this guy. That he was so... Because if there is something that I'm almost as dogmatic as my belief system about faith in Christ, it's how disgusted I am at myself for a lot of things, but also of organized religion and the church and the things and the atrocities that they hide behind and the hypocritical things. And, what do they say? The biggest obstacle to people getting to know Christ are Christians who acknowledge Jesus with their lips and denying with our lifestyle. Man, that is the biggest thing that people say. That's what an unbelieving world finds unbelievable. Not so much, the dogma of the Bible or things like that. I think people would probably take a peek. Like this fellow's taking a peek. If we didn't suck at what we do so badly. Hold on, let me make that personal. If I didn't suck at what I do so badly. I think
Maybe
it's cool.
that depiction of humanity is a little more accurate.
Yeah, seriously. I saw 7 characters that were me in that.
You're like, and one of them was Javier Bardem. But I'm feeling pretty much the same way as you guys, and it's kind of interesting that we're in the same arena of feels and interpretations, I guess, from this movie. And when it comes to whether this movie supports or tears down religion, I think is a pretty easy bet. The scene that sticks out is their version of communion, and I'm just like, no, that's not what they meant. and
you hear people, you even seen posts this week or last week about someone saying, "Oh, isn't this the same religion that eats the body, believes they eat the body?" I'm like, oh my goodness,
right. And but there's something that sticks out in my mind though, that he kind of takes a subtle shot at God, and it was you kind of mentioned it before when I mentioned the cyclical nature of the plot. And it was kind of, well, if God paid more attention to Mother Nature, then maybe she wouldn't be driven to create another apocalypse. So I think that was like a subtle shot that wasn't so on the hitting the nail on the head there, but it was, at that point you're not involving man in your critique. You're just saying, well, if God treated her better,
right,
maybe you wouldn't have to restart.
Because he didn't want her to destroy everything.
Right. He didn't want her to be done at all. Like he still loved her, and I thought it was interesting. To her death, she was like, I still love you. I'm,
everything. You do my everything.
I give you everything. And he's like, okay, well, I got one more thing to take from you.
Yeah. There's one more.
He's like, funny you mention that. So I feel like it wasn't.
That's going to make this a little easier to say.
So I feel like, he briefly introduces the idea in the beginning, and you don't really realize it until you go through all the mess, and then end up at almost the very beginning again, where he's restarting fresh.
Yep.
And it was only because this whole situation had driven her to do something so drastic.
Right.
And so it was like a little subtle shot there, but at the same time, with this character's existence, and I don't know what the term is, but like he's the only one that survives everything every time. So he's definitely an all-knowing,
he's outside the world.
He's in control of everything, and so you're still acknowledging that God has that power, and he is this Almighty. So it's to me, it's layered again, as you're still acknowledging that presence, but you're layering in these little critiques, and especially that one that doesn't come full circle until the end, and you think about it and you think, well, if God acted a different way, they wouldn't have to rebuild everything. And then you think a little bit about it a little bit more, and you think, well, the reason she was driven to that was mankind. So what's that say about mankind? Like, who's the actual driving destructive force then? If we weren't around, God and nature would just be stable. So it's very layered, I think, in what his critiques actually are, but kind of, also subtly supports faith, because, like I said, God exists in his story as God.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's not a different character. He's still an all-powerful being in the midst of his story. And
Mother Nature is at his will.
Right.
Like she says, I gave you everything. I'll give you everything. And that's, if that doesn't show that one is above the other, I don't know what does. Because K-Max, you had mentioned when she was giving birth, and he said, I'm its father, or his father. I can't remember how he referenced the child, and she says, I'm the mother. And it was kind of her attempt to be equal, But at the very end, you see the dynamic is, no, he's all there is, and he can get another version of you. So it's very, I know it's tough to pin down where his, like Tin Man said, where his views and critiques actually lie, because I feel like you could stand on either side and use something on the screen to your debate.
Mm-hmm. That makes it a good film too.
Yeah, I feel like your inner beliefs come out when you watch the movie, because it's how are you going to use these tools when you interpret what he's saying. Tin Man, you had mentioned that you watched like a bunch of stuff. Was there anything else that you wanted to add that we kind of talked about our thoughts of the theme? Were we any close?
No, those are all pretty close to what he said. He didn't give super detail about behind it. There would be someone who interviewed him, and they were like, yeah, and so the story's about Mother Nature and in people, and he's like, there's one other character. And they're like, well, the guy that he's like, yep, who's that guy? Like, he was trying to give them, and they're like, and he's like, that's God. That's God. Like, he had to point that out to them. I'm like, they missed so much if they saw the movie and did not know that was God.
So he's like, were they scared to just even say God? Or did they really not know?
I wonder if that's the case.
That might be the case, because the way, like, the crowd that he was with was like, they were so on board for this movie, and then when he got to Mother, because they were going through his filmography, and when they got to Mother, like, you could tell I'm like, ugh, either she was too afraid to say that, or they really just went over their head. But the few times he did interview with people, that he was saying, like, I wanted to make a story where Mother Nature was the main character, and it was the effects of the people, on them. Mm-hmm. When he talked about Noah, he had mentioned that there's only so many verses that describe what they went through. And so he went through all the verses meticulously to try to get that. So, and he filled in the rest of the story. If you see it, there's like giants, and there's like almost like natural explanations for all the God moments in the story. Yeah. And that's, like I thought, like that's like an outsider's understanding. If you were to look at it as mythology, how would you make this make sense to you? Yeah. So I would say he masterfully painted this story with a outsider's understanding of it. So, like, we're looking at it different because we are different, but I think it was still masterfully done. Yeah. I will give him that. I will like, I wax eloquent about these hot button issues, from my ivory tower, but he did it well. Yeah. What else was in there? There was a few other things he had mentioned, but a lot of it was kind of masked. We filmed this many places. The octagons were intentional because the male, it's like squares are supposed to represent man or God, and Mother, being the woman, is supposed to represent by a circle. So that's why there were so many octagons. The building's shaped like an octagon. The windows are octagons. Every room had an octagon in it. No kidding. And he said that was why it was like, the male's supposed to represent the square, the woman's the circle, and so to mix the two shapes together, that's why there's so many, and why it was shaped the way it was. It's because it was supposed to be Mother's understanding of this, why the house is supposed to be just us two. Yeah. That's why it's shaped that way. That was in one of the interviews. There's a couple other things that were in there, but...
one thing I reached out, because I had to know, like, the one thing was, like, what did she keep getting from the cabinet? That yellow.
I just typed that. I go, and you know what? The blood stain and the...
Okay, so that's something I still have a question of. Like, the blood stain and, like, the hole and the... Right? Yeah. But what I typed in was, like, what was up with that? What's that supposed to be? And again, it wasn't an answer from the staff or the writer, so it's just opinion like ours. And someone said sulfur.
Yeah, I heard that one too.
Because it's like an essential part of the Earth's crust, a protective part of Mother Earth. And so, like, when it got so stressful, it'd be like, Mama's gonna get her tussin. Yep. She had to go take it, and someone said because it's an element that is yellow like that, and
she also adds that to the paint.
Yeah. Like,
fixes the paint. It's not quite the right color. Where's the right color? So she added a little bit of that.
So I just thought that was interesting. Yeah. Like, and
then
the one
time.
Any
other thoughts on that one?
No, that I had that question for a while, and like I said, I purposely didn't look into
right
into anyone else's reviews of it. So, like, I mean, there's a few things where, that where it's like it's lost on me. I mean, I didn't know. So
it doesn't
like,
come back later on. It's hinted, and then
dumps
only
it
until
out
the kid.
when
She gets pregnant.
She gets pregnant. Like,
Yeah.
everything's good. Where everything's good, there's no reason for where I don't got to protect myself anymore. I let my guard down. He gets it. And she dumps it out. I bet she wish she had in that last scene.
Yeah, but she wish she had some more now.
I could use some more crust.
Glistening gold powder. Why not? Some angel dust.
So I have to thank you guys for sticking with this movie because I like to mix in
time.
a good variety of different types of movies. And Mother was one that I had my eye on for a long time, but I knew it would be a tough watch.
Yeah.
It's tough on the eyes, especially when that baby's getting handled, and it's tough on the mind because you're dealing with a topic that's so close to your heart.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it, like, because I think we all get a little bit defensive just by nature of someone talking about what you believe in. And so I have to thank you guys for sticking with this one because it is a tough watch and it's not coherent if you don't have a little bit of background on it.
Right.
And so when I say tough watch, it's also tough because you have to be in this movie. You have to be paying attention at all times because it's throwing you.
I will say this: I was not being distracted by anything else. Like when I was watching, that's one of the words we use when we're watching movies. We call it distractions.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because it was something about the plot that threw you off, or something like, why did the guy run that way? That's where the killer is. Like little things that.
Yeah.
And I feel like the movie is nothing but distractions, but because it's structured that way,
it's
asking,
part of
you're asking why,
part of the plot. Yes.
Why are you telling me that? Rather than why is this person doing this? Why would
it's intentional.
Why would that character do that?
Right.
Why is the filmmaker showing me this?
Right. It's
really
not bad writing. It's not bad directing. It's intentional. It's all super intentional. So you're like, I was like laser focused every time I watched
This
it.
illustrated what Vaz said about that when then things are intentional shots and positions and things. Can we talk a second about the lack of score, total lack of music, just no soundscape,
Right.
Any dynamic was all organic. Like it was odd to not have anything.
I guess it would lend more to your actors doing their thing while you're still invested, and still following, and still. You didn't need to get told this is a scary scene because the music's scary. You didn't have to get told it was scary when it was scary.
You know what the thing is like as a horror, it holds up nicely as a horror film.
That was his intention.
Man, it was.
Give me a second because I have a note written down and I have to double check something before I chime in. I'm pretty sure what I meant when I wrote that then was that there's a rave going on.
His words are yours.
Yeah. And it starts picking up.
Right there.
That's the drop right there. That's what they call that. Right now, if you could see, we're having our way with the dance floor.
Everyone's hands are in the air.
Boots and pants.
Proof we're here. So
there was a score, so to speak.
not score, but
Yeah.
I'm going to mess up this word again. Diegetic, not Dianetic. Diegetic music.
Yes. So it's music that we're supposed to hear.
No, it's music that they hear in the story. So non-diegetic.
We went through this. We went through this on one of our podcasts, didn't we? I looked it up.
It makes you pee. No, that's diuretic.
We had the same jokes.
Did we say that last one?
Yeah. Okay, diegetic is within the story. So
Okay.
not score. So you're right. There's no score. Lack of score, just
Isn't that
natural
crazy?
sound.
Lack of score.
So it's not music for us to listen. It's music that the characters are listening. We also hear.
Right.
Okay. Lack of score. Also the subtitle
Jack
of Chris
Sparrow isn't
Braley's
here.
college years. Sorry.
But I like
music.
I like that they introduced music with all this, sin and destruction going on, but it was like a tier of music that isn't. I don't want to offend anybody, but like, you have instruments that you play and are artful and take skill, and then you have mashing of
Yeah.
of
Button
beats
mashing.
and,
Mashing
DJ
and math
mashing
and math.
and just
Two clicks more and I got a tempo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's stop it now and have a drop.
so I like that it's that type of music and not like actual here's someone singing, here's someone playing the piano.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
that
Art.
type.
Yeah. Hey, we don't want to. Dismiss it.
I don't want to.
We've all gotten down.
We like that.
We've
we
gotten down.
listen to that music. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
in the context of that movie.
Yeah.
I think it's
yeah.
important that you picked something so modern. We'll
Yeah.
say.
Okay.
Angry man yells at cloud.
So so it's obviously not your first rodeo into allegorical movies, but final thoughts on like sacrificing story for message, we'll say. Like, did you find this movie effective?
I think what we're doing now is exactly what he wanted. Mm-hmm. I think that's exactly its intent. It's not a movie for strictly entertainment. I'm not here to cheer for the hero to save the damsel or to beat the bad guy or for whatever. That's not what he's here for either. And I think what we're doing now is exactly what he wanted. Whether or not we get all the allegory or every piece of it that we're trying to decipher or figure out, we might not. And I don't think he's intending everyone to completely understand it, but to like take you on a terrifying journey and then possibly think about all that entailed. So that's where I'd leave it at, I think.
Well, your thoughts,
Yeah.
Keith?
I don't think I can say it better. That's kind of perfect. You're on this crazy journey, and man, I wanted to just stop and just say, I can't do it. You guys have no close I was to saying it on this movie.
We almost bet money why you couldn't make it last time is because you were just like, this stupid movie, I'm not watching it.
Well, it's so funny because I got your text that said, you need more time for it, don't you? And I'm like, I knew you were going to say that because there was a time this week that would have been correct. But only at that point, I only had watched it once. So since then, I've actually watched it 2 more times. And I'm glad because watched it on the regular TV first time, but then the only other place I had to watch it was on my phone. So I watched it the second 2 times on my phone. And man, it just had so much message to it. The story was frustrating to try to follow, and I hate abuse, right? I think we can all say, like, I love puppies. Well, good job, congratulations, you love puppies. I love freedom. Maybe you guys don't, right? But like, I don't like movies that make me uncomfortable with like neglect, and like he was just so blatantly neglecting her.
Yeah.
She wasn't asking for much. And he was being this narcissistic, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, you're more concerned with, and all she's trying to do is support your work. She says, you're very good. Well, I say you're very good. He didn't want her praise. He wanted the praise of his people.
Right.
And so that's impressive. That's impressive storytelling. So even though it didn't have the strong, like I would like in the story,
Right.
the message.
It's your surface story was not.
I'm happy
up,
I'm happy to check it at the door for how good the message was.
Yeah. Right.
I'm kind of happy to give that up, and I'm not always happy to give that up because you guys know the way I consume is way different than how I consume this.
Yeah.
How I like to consume it is to instant feed me now cheeseburger, I call it. Put that microwave popcorn in and let's have a party, you know? Yeah, so yeah, I would trade it. I thought it was a good trade-off for what I think is a traditionally good story and good movie for what I got out of this. I don't know if I didn't have this conversation though, if I would have enjoyed it as much. I think knowing we were going to have this conversation helped a lot. Certainly, motivates you a lot more to pay more attention.
Yeah. It definitely these types of movies, though. Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's refreshing for me to actually be able to talk about it with people, with the intention, of deciphering things. Because there's oftentimes where I'm watching a movie and I'm just thinking to myself for hours after watching it, trying to piece together things and interpret and decipher different symbols and colors and everything.
Did you intentionally not watch any reviews or breakdowns or?
Yeah, I haven't watched any breakdowns at all.
You waited 7 years to have this?
I watched it when it came out in theaters, and I got it again, and I was hoping to watch it with anyone. And it was
everyone's like, "No, I'm not watching that movie with you."
Right? I had to wait 7 years to create a podcast so I could get friends to watch it. Wait, I hadn't watched any. I had to unwrap it because I bought it on Blu-ray when it came out, and I had to unwrap it to watch it.
Nice
for this. So you guys have actually watched it more times than I have.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Until tomorrow. In which case you'll lap both of us twice.
But like I said, it's not an easy watch also because it's something that you may have to watch again. Mm-hmm. And it's something that you can't just watch it and be done with it. It's gonna nag at you, and you're gonna keep thinking about it until you either watch again or be able to discuss ideas to get feedback and bounce things off and say, okay, I noticed this.
I'm
what
not
did
just
that
crazy, right?
right. And that's the thing. I think that's an outlet that's kind of cool. That if people, and there are a few people that are regular listeners now to the pod, it seems like they're getting what we're hoping that they would get out of it. Right. Join the conversation.
Hopefully they see the movie and then come and be like, okay, am I nuts or everyone else find this frustrating as hell and then listen to our podcast?
I would be real interested to see what some of my non-believing friends, many of them would say, and you guys are nuts, first of all. You know what I mean? First of all, I'm dismissing all three of you for your belief systems. And then after that, now the rest of the world feels this way. And I'm like, okay, share it. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
You're
interesting.
wrong, but let's hear it. This is my friend's podcast, not yours.
So yeah, it's and I like to sprinkle these movies in. It's not going to be like every chapter will have this movie. It's not going to be anything like that. But because this was super,
give us a minute before
driven
we see
by
nocturnal animals or animals.
Messages, and but next week should be. I mean, I try to choose interesting things, so every week should be interesting, but. Night of the Hunter. I do have it physical form here if you guys are interested, but Tin Man says that it's on Pluto. It's probably fine on YouTube also because it's so old.
Oh, it's pretty old.
Yeah, 50 something.
No kidding.
Tin Man.
Yeah.
Fact check.
Here it comes.
Date, but
he's looking at me. That makes me think you said fat check. He's staring at me.
Yes.
He's got one eye closed. He's biting his upper lip. What?
My upper lip? The non-sexy lip?
he just lit a cigar.
I'm only seeing his face from the red glow from his cigar in the corner.
and dimmed the lights on us.
He said, yeah, that's right.
Do it. Do cement.
Get the
Do it
butter.
very slowly.
Do it slowly.
Fought like a piggy.
Oh my!
Yeah, Last Tango in Paris, baby.
Oh.
Build that video.
You're gonna have to. It's a deep cut there. We're gonna have to
Yep.
let that one down. Night of the Hunter, 1955.
I was gonna say 55. I didn't say 50 though.
1955.
I was too afraid. I
1955.
was too afraid to die on that hill. But it's a movie.
Fix it in post.
There's a lot of religion. Yeah. Just very crudely. 55.
I believe it was 1955.
Yeah.
There we go.
like a German broadcast. Mike Foligno.
So, but it's a movie deals with interpretation of religion. But it uses a lot of tools that you can easily pick up. So
He
Like
says
that.
he says easily. We'll
Yeah, I know.
see.
Chris comes in and says,
so
I didn't get it.
So Tin Man, what's your thoughts?
I got notes, but you guys go first. Notes just say watch movie.
Notes was like go after Chris.
Go after Chris. He doesn't shut up. Just let him keep
Avoid
talking.
eye contact with Mr. Vosley.
Cough? Question mark.
Night of the Hunter.
1955.
Night of the
They
Hunter.
had color as options for movies and decided not to.
So a lot of black and white. You can already start to dissect from there. Black and white, grays. That's the one with the love and hate on the knuckles.
Oh, yeah.
So
Robert Mitchum. He's in Scrooge. He's the one guy from Scrooge. Scrooged. I think that was one of your favorite movies.
Oh, I love Scrooged. Oh, I love Scrooged.
so pretty easy to pick up on the theming, and then from there you can, like I said, black, white, love, hate. You can already start to take it on from there.
Listed as Guillermo del Toro's most favorite movie.
Oh, wow.
So
So if you're listening,
if you're listening out there,
open invitation to Guillermo del Toro. All right. That was a pretty lengthy pod there, but hopefully we got a lot out of it and our listeners enjoyed.
Mother, give it a shot. Whether you hate it or not, see what you can dig out of it. It's definitely one of those movies you want to dig and look for the themes and the meanings behind it. Yeah, I'm not hating. I did hate on it quite a bit the first time I watched it. I hated on it really hard the second time. And the third time I was like, okay, let's see, what am I missing? What am I trying to find? How am I trying to interpret what the writer-director wanted out of it? And more of an appreciation by the third time I watched it. So if you hate it too, just give it a second.
There's two things that Jennifer Lawrence will never say in reality that she said in this film. And I'd like to quote those now.
Oh, hit us.
You abandoned me. That'll never happen. And you say you want kids, but you can't even blank me. Challenge accepted.
Did you to see that in real life?
Did someone say dibs?
Okay, so that was our lengthy discussion on Mother! ! Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It was a tough watch, maybe a tough discussion. But this was Depth Perception.